One of the biggest considerations you're going to have with your home lab is networking, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Hi everyone, my name is Robert Mizen, and I'm in my office right now, and I'm really into Homelab servers, and I work in this space. In this video, we're going to talk about networking and what it means for your home lab and the considerations that you should take when making decisions about which hardware to buy and how you see that going forward. You're going to hear a lot of terminology on the web and from other videos from ADP, DAC cables, 10 gig, 1 gig, fiber, Ethernet, Cat6, Cat5, Cat7, shielded, unshielded. There's so much terminology on there, it can get a little bit confusing if you're new to this space. However, in this video, I'm hoping to go over this really easily, really quickly for you of what each of those kind of things do and the considerations that you can make when you're going to move forward building your home lab and how that transcends going forward if you start adding in more equipment. Most people, when they start with home labs, might buy some kind of second-hand home lab servers and stuff like that, and those are great, but you're often going to come across some new ports, and for a lot of people, these ports are very unknown. You may know of RJ45, commonly known as an Ethernet port, which is standard on most desktops and laptops and with commercial routers that you might use if you go to a store and buy one. But Ethernet is kind of the normal connection for most network traffic locally. Inside a building, for example, they might use it from a router to your computer. That's Ethernet. RJ45 is the connector type. A lot of server equipment will actually come with some SFP or SFP Plus ports, in which case you won't use an Ethernet cable for these ports. Instead, you'll use something called an DAC cable, a direct access copper cable. Now, most of these are actually 10 gigs, so if your server model or the thing that you're using, the network card that you're using, has one of these, then more often than not, you're going to be getting 10 gig networking out of that port, which is excellent. So you can get 10 gig networking quite cheap. I'm going to show you what a few different ports look like now so you can get an idea of how they look like and what to look out for on switches, routers, and on servers. So, up here, you've got Ethernet ports. These are pretty typical. You would have these on your desktop. You're going to have them on many equipment, even on servers. They still have these all over. But these are RJ45 Ethernet ports. Mostly they're going to be 1 gig. Older equipment might be slower, but 1 gig is going to be typical. You may find lots of ports like this. These are SFP Plus ports, and inside these you can put many different types of connectors to connect different types of equipment. A typical use case scenario for a SFP Plus port is using direct access copper DAC cables, which look like this. They're long and very shielded, and basically these are 10 gig network cables, and you'll hear these referred to as DAC cables. Some people call them SFP Plus cables, although technically that's not what they are. It's a DAC cable, DAC cable. This is the connector type, SFP Plus. These cables are ADP cables. These are very similar to these cables that are plugged in here. The only difference being that if you have one of these ports on a switch or on a router, they're very useful because what they are is basically 4 of these cables, but you have them in one port. The only difference being that you have to configure this port to go to different servers, so you activate them. Typically with these type of servers, these type of routers and switches, you have to activate the port before they all do anything, so that's something to consider. But this is an ADP cable, this is a DAC cable, both are 10 gig, and this will support 10 gig on all 4 strands, so it doesn't get drowned out. If you're lucky, you might have this type of connectors. I'm going to show you here. If I go underneath, so SFP Plus cables, SFP Plus ports like these, you can plug in different adapters, and here we have a fiber adapter, so this is for a fiber cable, and you can plug in a fiber cable to that one. And also up here you can get adapters that allow you to plug in Ethernet as well. So you can buy different adapters for these types of switches. They're very useful. If you have any SFP plus cables or ports on your server, there's a lot of flexibility with them.